Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Telecom Digital Gaming League. My name is Helbert, and I'll be joined by a very special guest tonight, former DGC champion himself, Zera, as we watch Ecstasy for the Dream take on APG in what does promise to be an interesting matchup with a couple of new faces. Zera, great to have you. Welcome to the cast.
Hey man, thanks very much. Yeah, happy to be here. This game should be quite a good one. Might actually see 3 games for once in DGL this week. Yeah.
That's true. We
So
were
yeah.
chatting about it just before the game started, that this is a kind of game where we could imagine a BO3 really finding its ground here. As although I would say that APG is probably the stronger team, specifically on paper, there's not a huge gap here that we see in some of the matchups that you can get in DGL, where you get somebody like Bravado Gaming playing some of the newest sides, like Flipside Tactics, for example, where, you know, it's a team that's building up versus a team that is established and powerful. Whilst Ecstasy and APG, although Ecstasy probably has a little bit of, I'd say, a little bit, not experience necessarily per player, but certainly as a team, I think that they've been around for quite some time, and APG certainly has, I would say, a little bit of a skill advantage. So certainly it will become, you know, which side performs better in the end. And will it be the experience of Ecstasy as their teamwork, or will it be APG with their, once again, arguably higher individual skill cap? But enough of that nonsense. Let's go ahead and chat about the picks and bans. Zera, you're obviously, you know your stuff. I mean, as I said, DGC champ in the past. Why don't you give us your thoughts on the picks and bans so far?
Yeah, alright, so immediately we see Zeus and Tinker first bans. I imagine that Tinker is probably a bit of a respect ban, or maybe APG just don't like playing against Tinker in general. Because I have seen Tinker picked up a lot lately, a lot more lately at least. But it's definitely not something you would expect at a first ban, but I imagine APG have a reason why. Doom's seen quite a lot, pretty strong hero, obvious, you know, and Bounty Hunter the same. Really good heroes, cause a lot of chaos in team fights, and generally just good bans. First pickup for XC, we got Faceless Void. Again, an all-round, just good hero. Good offlaner, pretty strong. Chrono, excellent in team fights. APG, on the other hand, they went for Phoenix and Beastmaster first. Phoenix has had a change, I believe. Scant actually tweeted about it last night with Phoenix Agnum Scepter. Now, I believe it's at level 16 or all levels, increases the attacks to be destroyed by 2. Which doesn't sound like much, but I mean, if you're level 16, Phoenix's Shivers, it's already quite difficult to take down that egg in a chaotic team fight. Now with +2 on top of that, you know, I mean, that's quite a substantial change, on top of being able to save one of your teammates.
I couldn't agree more. It certainly is an interesting change. And I sort of feel like the Agnum Scepter on Phoenix without the extra attacks was a little bit underwhelming. It felt that, you know, it was the sort of thing that it was generic, and perhaps you could save a core or a support when you got into that team fight. But at the same time, if that egg didn't pay off, if you get that kill, well, you get 2 kills instead. So not necessarily the best, the best option there. And I think considering that during that time, that hero that may be a little bit low in HP, for example, can't actually contribute anything else, it becomes like a really high priority target. Just burst down the egg. Even more so than you would generally find, which is really, really high. Just a quick mention about the Tinker draft. I think he calls, while it is in fact I think a bit of a respect ban towards Don't Die. He is a fantastic mid player, can be very devastating on that particular hero. Kind of like a little bit like Castaway, our good friend who you may have seen recently do quite well against, I believe in fact was Bravado Gaming, taking a match off them recently. So certainly a hero that XC are very comfortable with, and APG showing the correct amount of respect. What I'm a bit interested though is that, to me, Phoenix and Beastmaster, they're kind of like offlaners, right? I mean, Phoenix might be a little bit of a pockety kind of offlaner, but I'm interested to see how they're going to run this, because to me, Phoenix, although he is certainly capable of being run as support, potentially could give way to a better support hero. And considering the likes of Lionel still in the pool, I'm not too sold on it just yet. What are your thoughts, Sarah?
At the moment, Phoenix is being picked up mainly as a support hero from what I've seen in a lot of the more international games, and even some of the local games that I've watched. They're not picking Phoenix as the traditional offlane it used to be. It's, you know, primarily support now. And the nice interaction with Phoenix and Beastmaster is actually that Beastmaster, you know, if it's a really crappy lane for him up, you know, in the offlane, he can go to the jungle and he can get his level 6 within 5-6 minutes in the jungle if he starts there from level 1. And then in that time, Phoenix can go to the off lane and soak up levels in XP and, act as a off laner support. While Beastmaster is getting free farm and levels in the jungle instead. So, I mean, they interact with each other really nicely in that way.
You're clearly a fan of this pick. I see your logic. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, so I mean, Beastmaster did get nerfed a little bit, the boar, which makes, I mean, it's 5 damage less. It's kind of like, meh. Your level 1 and 2, like your level 1 board, it's not that effective in lane anyway. So, I mean, but in the jungle, Beastmaster, you get your Talon, you sit there, you get level 6 in 6 minutes. I mean, it's almost as fast as Enigma, I believe. It's just a little bit slower. You can actually get your level 6. And then Phoenix can sit and soak in the off lane and make sure the supports can't, just run around and leave the safe laner alone.
Okay. Well, here's an interesting one for you, though. I mean, throwing some questions your way, Zero. We'll get back to the bans in a moment, but we now have Beastmaster, Dragonite, and Lone Druid. Now, we sort of spoke on the assumption that Beastmaster is going to be in that off-lane position, and I think that is probably still true, but does this mean we likely see a safe lane Lone Druid?
Yeah, so already, I mean, what this looks like here is just, I mean, if you look at those 3 heroes alone, Beastmaster, Dragonite, Lone Druid, what is one thing they all do really well? That together, it's they can push towers down really fast. So Beastmaster, he's got that aura for Dragonite, with Dragonite ulti form, of course, and then Lone Druid Bear. With the Beastmaster aura, Beastmaster's going to have boards and necro books, and towers are just going to get destroyed. And then on top of that, they have the back, if XCC try to engage, they have the backup of Phoenix, who can ulti, I mean, if his positioning is good, he can ulti outside the Void Chrono, and then everyone else, the Void Chrono is kind of nullified because they have to target the Phoenix instead of the unit inside the Chrono.
Okay.
So right now
yeah. Let's a little bit about XC then. I mean, you're making a very good argument for the strength of the APG lineup, and it certainly is a little bit concerning if you're an XC fan seeing this very, I'd say, effective, clever lineup coming out from APG at the moment. But what's happening with XC here? I mean, we certainly have the gang potential, Night Stalker, some great nuke from Lina, but then the Void and the Witch Doctor give you some sort of team presence, some team fight presence. But do you see anything particular coming out from them? Maybe particular strategies that they think they need to get off in order to be successful in this matchup?
Yeah, so right now, at the moment for XTC, they're looking more towards a sort of pickup lineup where they don't really want to have, a straight up team fights, at least not for the beginning part of the game. They've got the Void Chrono. It actually looks like Void's going to be safe lane as well. Unless it's a Midnight Stalker.
5 seconds remaining.
Because I'm not too sure how they're going to do these lanes. I mean, we'll probably find out now when they get their last hero, but I'm not the greatest fan of a safe lane Void either. Especially against that lineup. And they don't have the greatest wave clear either. They have Lina, which is decent. Witch Doctor is, it's not really wave clear.
So what would you like to see them? I mean, that I think is quite a big issue for them, especially considering how many minions are likely to be on the field here. And, the bear is going to be tragically difficult to bring down. So what is the right pick here? What do you think that they should go? Oh, well, I guess they're going to answer that for us, Necros. Instead, I'll ask, how do you feel about a particular pickup? And do you think there was something else that they could have gone for instead?
I don't understand Necrophos in every single SA game that I've played to try to do my companion quest, everyone picks Necro, man. I just don't understand why it's so popular in South Africa. But what I can see happening here is a Lina middle, a Night Stalker Necro off lane, or a Night Stalker Necro safe lane, and a Faceless, a Void, and Witch Doctor safe or off lane, depending. So basically for XSC, they need to jump ahead in the early game. The Night Stalker needs to do work. At that 4 minutes, he needs to make kills. He has to run around. He has to get, he has to try get Dragonite killed mid. He has to try get the off laner taken down. He's gonna have to do a lot of work. It's gonna be in his hands, I feel like, just to get XSC started off.
Okay, well, so a lot of pressure for whoever ends up handling it. And for the side of APG, well, it's going to be the Dazzle. I never get to ask you to make predictions, Sarah. It's not meant to be. But once again, how do you feel about this last pickup here on the Dazzle?
Yeah. So for Dazzle, I just realized now had pushed the talk for in-game. So, whoops, my bad.
Well, it's okay. We got the stream running, so people should be supporting it anyways. So you can hear all of that on that side there. But in the interim, let's just keep going. If you
All
guys
right.
are listening
So
right now, swap over quickly to the stream so you can hear the last thoughts of this draft. Go for it, Sarah.
yeah. So Dazzle. I mean, again, it's a pretty safe. It's a really safe, and it's still decent for pushing, just because you have all that heals. I mean, you get a bit low. There's a dragon save comes out. You can heal up your creeps a little bit, heal up the bear, the dragon knight if need be. So I mean, it's fine. Um, they have enough initiation with the Beastmaster and Dragon Knight, so that's still fine. Other than that, I mean, Dazzle, yeah, so Dazzle's still, I mean, it's decent pickup overall,
Okay.
I think.
Cool. Well, on that note, we do have our customary SA pause. Does look like there might be a little bit more than meets the eye here. I mean, we see that not only is there DC, but 2 heroes on the side of XC have actually failed to pick up the heroes, which to me sounds like we might end up having a remake here. But stick with us for the meantime anyways. We'll use this opportunity once again just to thank Telkom DGL for hosting this event. This is of course the Masters, and it is likely to be quite an interesting matchup here. I'll go ahead and introduce the side of APG, and then I'll give Zera his casting duties and ask him to take us through XCC. So on the side of APG, it will be on the Dragon Knight ACG, a cool guy. O'Malley will be handling the Beastmaster. Adestam will pick up that Lone Druid. Bob Eels will be taking up the Dazzle. And last but not least, it will be flanks on the Phoenix. Over to Zera and the side of XTC. And pro tip, I think now's a good time to use your
Yeah.
drop down.
Yeah, so right now it's Dota and Die on the Necro. He is a mid player, I believe. Is he the mid player? I think he's the mid player, so it looks like it's going to be a Necro mid. And then 756 on the Witch Doctor, Rip Ink on the Lena, Doom Bunny on the Night Stalker, and Heffalump will be picking up the Void in the last pick.
Great. Well, on that note, I mean, we chatted a little about the draft already, so I don't want to go too... in fact, maybe it's actually worthwhile just taking another quick summary of what you think about the draft, since I think there were some issues for those who were listening in the game. You should be able to hear everything fine now, I imagine. But all the same, give us your very quick 30 seconds rundown of these two drafts.
Yeah, so Phalanx is actually playing the Phoenix, and he's usually the offlane player, and O'Malley is playing the Beastmaster. So I'm not sure if they're switching things up with their, the introduction of Bob Yules, or if this is just, how they do the specific lineup, with because O'Malley has got Start Shield, Ring of Protection, and Phalanx did buy the Sentry Wards. It does look like he is going to be, the dedicated supports, and not the offlane. And on the side of XSC, it looks like Rip Ink is actually going to be the middle player. He has picked up the Null Talisman and Tangos on the Lena. So yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, let's see.
We actually, I think we noticed that. I believe Soda is part of XC. I might be going crazy, but he's not playing in this match, and we have Bob Yules now on the side of APG. So perhaps with the introduction of these new players, they decide to mix things up a little with the lanes.
Seconds to battle.
And I guess that's just going to be very interesting to see how it turns out for these two sides. And also ask some interesting questions about, if the likes of Bob Yules is now sitting with the APG instead of Carbon, where do we find the replacement for our Carbon player? So stick around, guys. I'm sure the Telkom Digital Gaming website will have some more information.
Yeah, I did actually see who they've included now. It's quite interesting, the players who are in the Carbon lineup now. I guess I won't spoil it for now, but yeah.
Yeah, we can be kind and promote the Telkom website. We can let the guys go over there and check it out if they want to know more. But for now, let's just take a gander over this game again. So, interesting players on the lanes, not necessarily unexpected hero positions, but certainly quite interesting to see these guys go into different lanes. Once again, guys, sorry for the pauses. We do experience this from time to time, but hopefully, once things get rolling, it'll be a nice fluid game without too many issues. Otherwise, let's see lane predictions. I mean, we'd like to see the safe lane Void, as you mentioned. The Night Stalker, I do expect him to be roaming around quite a bit, but effectively he's likely going to spend a little bit of time in that top lane as well, with the Witch Doctor playing the support. Up against O'Malley's Beastmaster, it's not probably not the worst lane Beastmaster's going to find himself in, but how do you think he'll handle himself here?
So it looks like he wanted to start on the jungle. 756. I can't see the boxes in spectator mode. It looks like. But yeah, I think 756 blocked it off. But O'Malley does not have a sentry on him. That's unfortunate. Oh, he's already planted his sentry up top there. So I think he's gonna have a tough time because the Night Stalker and the Witch Doctor are probably gonna sit in front of the creeps and just make sure he can't get anything off. But I do not like this Necro off lane. It is horrible. I mean, I definitely think it's horrible. I really don't think it's that good. He's not gonna be able to do much in this lane, really. I mean, Adastam can just sit the bear on him along with Bob. They can just both sit attacking him while Adastam farms with his hero, or vice versa, he can farm with his bear and attack with his hero. I mean, the Necro is not going to get anything out of this lane at all.
It's kind of a weird one, right? Because you kind of don't expect Heflin to get much farm experience on the lane. But probably the biggest issue is that means you have a really active Silver getting a lot of farm early on, pretty much uncontested. And of course, the support's going to run havoc, going to be able to move around the map. That said, though, not the most amazing gang heroes. I mean, Phoenix is certainly quite handy, especially if he does pick up some high levels and Sunray, do quite a bit of damage. But Dazzle, he's more of a defensive kind of guy, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we see a lot of Phoenix Phalanx running around the map with the Dazzle sort of just setting up some neutral camp pulls and some stacks. But I feel really bad for Mandy, by the way. As somebody who does play a lot of offlane, this ward is pretty mean, man. Just denying him any opportunity to get those early levels, and of course, he's likely to rush that. Good old Claw, I'm forgetting its name. Excuse me, Iron Talon. But once he does pick it up, he's probably pick it up earlier than he's actually able to effectively get to that lane. Maybe he'll get some help out from a friend. Otherwise, in the mid lane, we haven't spoken too much about this. ACG on the DK versus Ripping Selena. I mean, I guess really DK is kind of the hero that doesn't really care about killing you, just wants to find some farm. But why don't you give us a little bit more info about this particular lineup?
Yeah, I mean, Lena, we haven't really seen much Lena middles for quite a while. I think ACG, once he gets his bottle, which I think is, yeah, it looks like it's on the way. Yeah, so his bottle's on the way, he should be fine. I mean, he's just going to use his Breathe Fire to last hit. There is a rotation coming with by Night Stalker, but now the Lena's bottle is pretty far away, and he has no mana really to do anything, so it's... Yeah, I think
as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've been trading a lot of hits. It's just ACG got his bottle first. That's why ACG looks a bit healthier, because he did have to use all 3 charges there. So Ripping's gonna bottle Crow, or what the hell is this thing? Or Nibi, yeah.
He actually has no choice. He is smart enough to pick up that both runes have been picked up though, as Doom Bunny is busy pestering Phalanx. We'll actually give him a little love tap, just reminding him that he's in the game. But unfortunately, not anything he can really do to follow up with that one. Nick first in the bottom lane, he has reached his level 2, so he's getting a little bit out of this lane at the moment. Might actually be able to sneak a pull in here if he's lucky. No, not quite the right amount of time available for him to do so. Sure would have loved to have denied a bit of XP, get a little close. But mid lane, where's the action is at? As ACG does take a little bit of a pounding from Doom Bunny and Ripping, but such a hard hero to bring down. We'll get the support of flanks as well, although perhaps a little unnecessary, as this DK does not look too ill for wear at the moment. And with 1 bottle charge even remaining, and just 40 seconds off the next rune spawn, I think he's going to feel quite happy. Doom Bunny, though, actually getting a little bit low in mana, does have the Mango, though, so he'll be able to keep himself in action. But unfortunately, I just don't see them bringing down this DK, man. This does not seem like a realistic expectation from the side of XTC. I'm sure this is more about harass, but you tell me.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to keep him up. They don't want to give him like a completely free middle lane. Like they want to keep him a little bit scared. I mean, Ripping only had mana for 1 spell during that gang, so like either way, no matter what happened, it was not going to work. Phalanx TPing in, that's just to stop the dive potential. Not that they had any, because neither of them had mana, but I think it's just make sure, rather safe than sorry, I suppose.
Well, top lane now, Phalanx is actually in quite a bit of trouble. Does actually take a hit from the Maledict as well. Now, this is only level 1, so he should be A-okay. But it's interesting to see that pickup. Obviously, 756 does feel that they can get some kills in this lane, and why not? I mean, they do have quite a bit of potential damage with Doom Bunny also lurking around. It looks like he actually might get behind. Now, Chris died, but will be on cooldown for quite a while, and this is still a level 1 flank, so he's probably not going to appreciate this. They will, in fact, engage it, and once again, Magic is caught, and this time, it's certainly enough, and flanks will be your first blood for this matchup, as 756 and friends lap up a nice way to start the game. And bottom lane, ooh, missed that one. At least I'm not sure he caught it there, but the Dazzle Bobul's actually getting the first kill of his APG career, I would imagine, in DGL. Also going to pull a stacker, so one either way, probably a little bit of advantage to the side of XC, as they did actually get the first blood, and of course there's a little bit of extra farm, or rather at least a little bit of extra levels on that Necro, which is a bit surprising. Phalanx at the moment sitting level 1, obviously taking the hit that you said, allowing the Beastmaster to go into the jungle, but still the same, you don't really want to be level 1 as a spawn in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. You're definitely something. But I mean, again, this is the, I mean, like I said, between Beastmaster and the Phoenix, I mean, this is the sacrifice you're going to make. Phoenix, I mean, what he's going to do bottom, he's not going to do anything bottom either. And, you know, he can keep a TP for middle just in case. But, like, other than that, there's nothing really he's going to do anywhere else. So might as well try get some XP top.
And as well, O'Malley is level 5 almost in the jungle now, finding a decent amount of farm. So he's effectively, if you want to compare, you know, off-laners, rather if you want to prepare positions, he's doing a lot better than Hefflamp at the moment. He's actually going to find himself a decent pull here as well. So since it's such a big stack, it's probably going to devour this creep wave.
Yeah.
All the same, he'll appreciate being pulled all the way back to the safe lane, or the safety of his tower rather. But a pretty quiet game so far. Beastmaster is taking quite a bit of damage. It's a nice stack here for him that I don't think he appreciates too much. Certainly not in the best form to take it down at this point. But once again, almost level 5. It's some solid work from Hefflamp. Gonna struggle a little bit, man.
Yeah, that's
this Necro actually fitting. I mean, what is his sort of goal in life at this point?
I mean, like I said, like I don't agree with it. I think it's really terrible. I mean, if they kept the Night Stalker here, it might have been okay. They might have been able to bring down, you know, one of the heroes. They could have actually been a bit more aggressive. But since Night Stalker's not there, he's actually sitting top at the moment. You know, it's really, I mean, there's just so many better heroes. It's kind of like a gimmicky hero where you kind of hope that the game gets to 60 minutes and you have Aghanim Scepter, and then like you just happen to win a team fight because you Scepter ulted someone. I mean, that's kind of...
Top lane flanks in trouble once more. Does get caught up by the Chrono. Not a huge amount of follow-up, unfortunately, because Doom Bunny not able to get in there and do some damage, but it is not necessary at all, as Don't Die managed to pick up a nice kill here. This is, I mean, pretty positive. As far as Faces Voids go, I mean, getting free farm, he's sitting at 47, excuse me, CS at the moment, just one behind the Syllabear. Certainly a good time with the office, and the 1 kill, 1 assist doesn't hurt either. A nice way to start off the lane here. But, I mean, once again, you're sacrificing this for this Lone Druid and your Necrophos in some ways, which is in dire trouble at bot lane, as he does have an angry bear beating down on him. And SM actually shapeshifts there, so not too keen on following up behind the tower. His bear was a little bit low, and of course, Necrophos, not the easiest customer to take down, does have 2 levels in Death Pulse, so will provide himself a little bit of healing at the moment. 90 every tick is not too shabby. And in the end, we'll end up with just once more a little bit of harassment. He has almost reached 5 as well now, but still behind that Beastmaster is about to pick up a 6, which is, I mean, that's going to be a pretty influential moment in this game. Why don't you give us your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think at that point O'Malley's going to become very active and find himself around the map, or do you think you can spare a little bit of extra time, maybe look towards getting a bit more farm towards the Necro?
So I mean, generally at this
Sorry to
time...
interrupt, but middle lane, we do have 756 trying to get behind you. I don't think there's going to be much of this. They do actually get the Malik down. The stun connects right from the edge. They're ripping, tosses up the Laguna Blade as well. That's going to be good one. And O'Malley, he answers the question for us. Back in the fray, he's going to help out with two cross kills. But I think this is a dead DK. One more tick. No, man, that is not a lot of damage. I'm a bit surprised. I mean...
Well, it's only a level 2 Maledict.
But even so, I mean, he got crushed. I mean, he took pretty much 90% of his damage there. I was really expecting him to go down, but that is a huge fight in the end for APG. Maddie really arriving just in time to get 2 very valuable kills. Bring on score to 3-2, and potentially putting a world of hurt onto this mid tower. We've got the 2 balls up as well. Maddie does have 1 level in the beast as well, so everything's sitting a little bit faster. And the fortification will end up being used, but the rotations are coming in. Ecstasy, led by Ripping in the front lines, does want to get something out of it. On the sideline though, Doom Bunny going to toss out a Void. Not a huge amount they can do just yet. 756 also returns to the fray, but I think at this point, pretty easy for the good old APG boys to back off and feel this was a fight well achieved. And with quite a bit of damage down to the tier 1, it is a good little rotation for them in the end.
Yeah, so I was actually just about to mention this before that everything started there, that, you know, Amali should actually get a smoke with his ult and just go gang somewhere. But XC actually presented the opportunity for him to not even have to do that. You know, he managed to get his ulti off without having to smoke up and go, and they got 2 kills for that. So, I mean, that's as good as, you know, as you'd want from a Beastmaster. Don't have to waste time going back to base or wait for the smoke to come out before you go somewhere. I mean, that's, so really, that's, I mean, as good as you want.
And on top of that, he makes quite a bit of handy cash for that.
Yeah.
He's actually going to pick up 2 smoke of the seeds as well. So it certainly seems that Mali agrees with you. And he will, in fact, probably look to make another rotation since he already does have his primal roar off cooldown. It's not a very long one, and it is very, very powerful when you get it right. So, I mean, I think I was speaking to Prophecy, and he was suggesting that, you know, about 12 minutes is where you're looking to have like a good timing on your necro books. I don't think Omani is going to be too far off, especially if he does find another kill. As mid lane might present itself again. They did in fact engage with an ACG, and they once again just start smashing onto him. Surely this time it's enough. But no! Bob Yules comes with a Shallow Grave. He's going to be okay in the end of this. Nice rotation there from Bob Yules. And this must be very frustrating for 756, who I imagine a moment 4 was considering this was a job well done. But yet another rotation not working out. In fact, to be perfectly honest, I think the only thing really going very well in XC's favor at the moment is that their Void has been left pretty much uncontested. But at the same time, same could be said for Amsterdam, who's actually beating down Heflap. The Roar comes out as well. This is going to be a nice pick up on the offlaner. And once again, APG just make all the slick moves. And O'Malley, even more dangerous close to that Necro. And I promise you, it really does hurt. If you're a newer player, perhaps you haven't experienced the power of a Necro as they pick up this offlane tower as well. It can be very, very devastating. And Doom Bunny gets caught up by Entangle. He could be in trouble.
He is a bit
through,
far ahead.
Should be another kill. 756, don't stick around there, friend, because you have some angry bears after you, and they are beating down and will try to retreat back to the safety of this tower as the TP rotations do come in and should bail him out of trouble. Heflump, the only man in the end, does commit to it. But once again, that's economic damage. It's some good finances going the way of your Beastmaster and your Syllabear. And once again, XC just haven't had a good solution. And man, this Night Stalker so far has not been working out for them.
Yeah, I mean, that one was 100% on Doom Bunny. I don't know what he was trying to do. I think he was trying to get like a deny on the tower or something like that.
Lane, ACG takes a 3rd Laguna Blade in this game. But once again, he just seems to just shrug it off. Does get hit by a Bachelor, so surely they can finally bring him down. Does have the support from flanks. One more hit required. They're not going to get it. I don't believe it. ACG, once again, is just going to walk it off. And now Bob Hills with his Invisor going to head over as well to make sure everything's okay. But man, 3 Laguna Blades this game cost so far. 3 times that DK has shrugged it off.
Yeah, oh man, I don't even know what to say. It's sort of like ripping every single time. He's never really had mana to, like, he's cast his Dragon, what's this? Yeah, Dragon Save and ulti, and then that's all his mana gone, you know, like because he's farming creeps with his mana all the time. So when the when the gangs come in, he just doesn't have enough mana to use all his spells and get the kill. And he actually stopped and turned around there when the Dragonaut was probably on about 20 HP and cancelled his attack. So he might have actually been able to get the last hit there, but I mean, it would have been really close. That was, but yeah, I mean,
and
ACG.
How would this game be? I mean, 3 extra kills in the DK, 5 to 5. A lot more pleasant experience for XC, don't you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I think realistically there was only 2 real opportunities for them, and both of them was ripping is this, you know, using all his mana before the fight comes in, and our top lane now, you know, then ACG is now involved in a kill after surviving that, you know, like, so it's just ACG is just getting like a crazy good start here.
And once again, there is that ominous presence, Adestam in the bottom lane. Picked up his Midas as well on the bear, so he's probably going to make some good timing on potential Radiance. I sort of imagine that's what he's going for. Does have 3.4k in the banks. Well, that is actually really fast, man. 110 CS at 13 minutes. That's a good day at the office from it. And although Void certainly has been doing a great job as well, sitting at 96, it just feels like he's going to need a little bit more to be able to have the same impact that a Syllabear with the Radiance is going to be able to provide.
Yeah, I mean, look, ACG's already got his omelets up. They've got 3 towers down already. Like I said, like they've got a really strong pushing lineup, and that's without the Lone Druid even joining them right now. So I mean, right now for XSC, I don't really. They're smoking up middle, but I don't see a way for them really to get back into this game just yet. They're going to have to pull out some magic tricks. And I think they're going to have to take the game slowly. Like here, they need to actually get this kill on ACG.
Well, they are committing a lot to it. Once again, the Green Game comes out, and Ripping, well, this time he did have mana. He's going to be able to help out. Heflam secure the kill, but it's not over yet. His flanks. Gets healed up there as well. Going to secure a second kill for the side of XC, who perhaps are pretty keen on those miracles coming out. It's fine to fire back and pick up two, but a lot of damage still being done. I mean, Adestam, bottom lane at the moment, beating down tier 2 tower on the top lane, not much difference. As O'Malley also shows his hand. He's also picked up the level 1 Necro as well, very close to that level 2, so a lot of good work done around the map, regardless of the fact that they lost 2 in towards that middle lane.
Yeah, but that, I mean, that's something that XC actually had to do there. They got the kill on the Dragonite, which is a really big kill. They got a bonus kill on the Phoenix, which doesn't matter that much, but it's nice. And then with that, they managed to get the middle tower. So now they've got a bit more space to work with. With that middle tower there, it was really difficult for them to actually maneuver on the map and be able to set up all the gangs they're planning on doing. But now they've got that. It's not it's not enough just yet, but it's it's a start.
One small victory at a time, right?
Yeah.
So let's take a look at how it's all reflecting at the moment. The XP graph at the moment does show a quite nice lead for APG, sitting at about 3,000, and the gold graph sitting probably around the same, maybe a little closer to 4.25. So certainly making a good start of this game in 60 minutes, and with some real work for XC and their fans, hoping that they'll pull out. But, I mean, certainly not over just yet, but I just worry at this sort of point where you run something like the Night Stalker. This is a low scoring game so far. 10 kills within 60 minutes from both sides. There's not a huge amount in it. And to me, Night Stalker is one of those snowballers that is super effective should you get those starts. But as you mentioned, if you were speaking about hoping the game reaches 60 minutes and you pick up your Aghanim Scepter, maybe that's a bit of a dream game. But at the moment, he's sitting with just a point booster. He's well off anything that looks that threatening at this point.
Yeah, and then on the other side, our Bear has picked up his Radiance. 16 minutes, the Bear's got Phase, a Bassi Ring, and Radiance, and a Midas, and now Adestam's has got boots on his own hero. And he's just I think he's just gonna carry on split pushing. I don't think he has any intention of joining his team, or rather now his team's gonna join him. And yeah, so XC are smoking up behind them. They found the Bear. Actually, he's gonna ignore it.
Find more than that. Dota Die goes in, but the instant heals, just Raw comes down onto Lina, who's absolutely destroyed. They're focusing on Adestam, but Dota Die getting destroyed. Sephiroth opens up with LP, but it's just not enough. It's 5 for nothing. APG walk over Ecstasy, and that is going to break the backs of that potential comeback we were chatting about, because at the moment, it is hurting, and they're going to be punished for this, man.
That's Rax, I think. That I think is Rax, actually. Dragon Form's still up for quite some. I mean, it's only half finished, halfway through its duration. So I think that's.
How do XC even defend? I mean, even if they do spawn, even if they buy back, they have no ultis. They're sitting with just the Lina ulti at the moment. This is devastating for XC. This is just hard to watch, man. That is a 17-minute Rax, and absolutely nothing in it for Ecstasy, who, well, have to pull out nothing short of a miracle to come back from this position.
Yeah, and as I said at the beginning, it's just XC, they can't take the fights head on like this. It's not like they're not going to win, especially when they're that disorganized. I mean, the Lina used up Adestam, his hero, when the Void wanted a chrono it instead. So the Void, delayed his chrono because the Bear was in the air anyway. And then once that happened, Lina got roared, and from there couldn't actually do anything, and just died.
Because Rip Inc. once again in a little bit of trouble as Adestam front lines up with his Bear. Maddie on the sideline trying to help out, but it's flanks that do the good work. Tosses up the egg as well. It's right behind. The Roar comes on to Rip Inc. Don't die. He can't bring this down in time. The egg's gonna pop. Doesn't matter at the moment. Just Heffelam trying to limp out of this one, but he's still got 3 angry foes chasing down on him, and an Entangle's going to come out at any second. It's got to be, and there it is. Heffelam brought down the GG called. APG just walk over XC in this game 1. I got to say, the draft, you called it there. It looked very, very smart from the side of APG, and XC just did not have the guns to bring it back. And in the end, a very short game 1 here in this DGL Masters matchup. Well, guys, stick around, because I doubt there'll be too much of a break between game 1 and game 2. But I would love to give a chance to our good old Zero over here to give us any final closing thoughts on this matchup.
Don't pick Necro offlane, solo offlane. I mean, just don't do it. It's not good.
Well, like I said, former TGC champion. I think he makes a valid point. But on that note, guys, stick around. As I said, Game 2 should be up shortly between XSC and APG. See you soon.
Fire team ban. Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Okay, welcome back, friends, for Game
Radio
2
team ban.
between Ecstasy and APG, with a very interesting clan tag set at the moment. But certainly it is indeed APG, reinforced with Bob Yules as one of their new players, who had a pretty, convincing,
10 seconds remaining.
might seem a little unfair really to that sort of performance. It was overwhelming, perhaps is a better way to
5
describe it.
seconds remaining.
Victory over Ecstasy, and of course go one game up in this best of 3 series. My name's Helbert, welcome once again to the cast, and
Dire
welcome
team's
back
turn to
to
ban.
my fellow co-caster tonight. Quite a legend, and doing a
Radiant
great
team's
job
turn to ban.
helping us understand this game a bit better. Zero, welcome back.
Hey man, thanks. On the topic of Bob Yules, I think at the moment, he had some really good rotations that game. Managed to make sure that the Dragonite got the good start he needed, managing to save him once or twice, just a little bit of a heal. So he certainly, set a strong footing in the team. Hopefully he'll be able to keep that up against against the stronger teams. Ecstasy, unfortunately, I
5
think
seconds remaining.
the drafting and just how they executed their draft are just lacking, against teams such as APG.
Reserve time.
So I think
I
they
really
need
do
to.
think that's a fair comment. I mean, it felt like the draft from APG was so... It just made so much sense. It was a pushy kind of lineup that had some late game potential, great pick-off capabilities. The team fight was there with the Phoenix, and XC, they just felt underwhelming. It was sort of, maybe the Necro and the Night Stalker, just two heroes that just felt like they occupied space opposed to really adding value. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, overall it was Night Stalker had to get stuff done. Necro had to not be in the game and be another hero. I mean, basically it. Like the Night Stalker, they probably could have replaced as well, but again, with the lineup that they had, the Night Stalker could have worked. I definitely think they had to put the Night Stalker and the Necro in a lane together and just, sort of give Phoenix a bit more room in the off lane. Like they really tried hard to shut down the Phoenix, but it didn't amount to anything. They gained nothing out of that. So they really should have just, concentrated more on their own off lane and get the Necro better starts and get the Night Stalker a better, a bit more levels in a dual lane where they maybe get some kills instead of just in a tri lane trying to roam, trying to pull when there's no pull spot because it's warded off. I think overall it's just a bit, I I think there was a bit of a poor execution on their draft, and the draft itself, I don't think they really knew what they wanted to do with it, and I don't think they knew what APG, or just how strong APG's lineup was.
Well, so far, though, things are looking a little bit better in my opinion. AC actually pick up the Beastmasters themselves this time, so we're going to see an offlane I think both you and I are both more comfortable with, and they're going to pick up the line, who in my opinion is one of the strongest supports in this patch. But why don't you take us through it?
So right now, XSC, those two heroes are probably the most stock standard first two picks you could possibly do at the moment. Like Beastmaster, really, really strong offlaner, really, really strong even just jungling. It's just a really, really overall good, like general hero to pick in the first phase. Like if you're stuck without a strategy, you don't really know what you want to do, you can pick up a Beastmaster. It's just such a good hero for everything you want to do. And then Lion, it's exactly the same thing as a support. It's really just a solid support. Once you get to your level 6, you can go around picking off core heroes just with your ulti like every 2 minutes. Like it's incredible to play Lion as a support as well. And then on the side of APG, Phoenix, they obviously like their Phoenix, first picking it. Again, I do think it's a strong hero. I think it's really good. Sunray was nerfed a little bit with the cooldown. 6 seconds, I mean that's basically, you might not be able to use it twice in a single team fight. That's essentially it. Other than that, like it's still the same hero, it's still really good, and like we saw last game, you can put it in the off lane just to get some extra levels if your safe lane's going more than fine.
5 seconds remaining.
Of course, we have the good old Invoker coming out. He's also something we see a huge amount of him.
Reserve time.
Personally, I gotta say this, if you have watched a lot of my casts in the past, you would know that I used to be so excited when I saw an Invoker come. I was like, oh yay, Invoker, we get to potentially see some flashy things. What build is he going to go with? Is he going to be that sort of control Invoker? Is he going to be like a big DPSer? And it was very entertaining. But at the moment, we just see so much of Invoker, man. It's always there. But I will say this much, ACG certainly has a very good Invoker at his disposal. So I'm sure we will see some interesting plays. And we will in fact get to wonder about what exactly he is going to build it into. But on that note, we also have the Vengeful Spirit and the Lycan banned out by APG, with the Slark and Lone Druid banned out by XTC. I mean, I'm not surprised the Lone Druid's gone. He was a massive problem, and I sort of feel like he was a massive problem without actually having to invest very much. He pretty much just arrived on the field, and he was already at such a position where he could walk over his opponents. I mean, to me, one of the big things, if you recall, the engagement towards the bottom lane just before the racks occurred, they effectively went onto that Lone Druid. They really did commit quite a bit with the Chronosphere, and he just shrugged it off. He did not care for it. And on top of that, I mean, you had the likes of the DK, who also just seemed to shrug off those sort of engagements. So certainly not the position they wanted to find themselves in. Not surprised to see him ban out. But now Slaughter being picked up, I like Slaughter. What are your thoughts, Sarah?
Before I talk about Slaughter, for the Lone Druid, that was more, I feel like that was less on APG and more on XSC just not doing anything. I mean, at this time, he had the time of his life. He sat bot, like he never left bot, like he was bot until they raxed. He never went back to base, he never left the lane. He was bot and farmed the two neutral camps and just pushed the lane. He never went back, he never left it, that was it. So I mean,
That's pretty amazing efficiency, right?
yeah, like I mean and that's again, I don't like that's Adeslam didn't have to do anything really that game. He just had to keep farming. XSC just I'm putting it on the draft. I feel the Necro pick, they couldn't pressure him. They couldn't do anything. Nightstalk, I mean, they would have had to
10
have
seconds remaining.
Nightstalker and Nelina rotate bots and actually make something
5
happen,
seconds
but it
remaining.
never happened. So Adeslam, I mean, he had what, like 14 minutes Midas
Dire
Relic or
team's
something
turn.
like that. You know, it's like some really crazy timing. So it was really just, I'm gonna put that on XSC just not really doing anything and just letting APG do whatever they wanted the whole game.
You make a very interesting point as well, because when I think about it, the Lina also pretty much just sat in mid lane. He was waiting for the ganks to come to him, and admittedly there were quite a few team fights that ended up occurring. I mean, sort of pseudo team fights with 3 heroes as opposed to 5, but there was a lot of action there. But once again, as you mentioned, just meant Lone Druid had no pressure on him.
Yeah,
Now, one of the
and
things I find interesting about
10
that is
seconds
that
remaining.
Don't Die, he's kind of a flashy player. I mean, he's the kind of guy who
5
makes a
seconds
lot of
remaining.
rotations, gets very involved. Playing at one position though, I mean, did he do much?
so yeah, the Lina,
team's
every
turn
single
to
time a gang came middle for Lina on the DK, the Lina never had enough mana either to actually be able to kill the DK. Which was a problem because so the Lina was spending too much mana trying to farm creeps, which is fine if you want to do that, but then don't
remaining.
waste your support's time, getting them to gang middle when you're not going to have mana anyway, because then
seconds
you're just
remaining.
wasting your time, support's time, and like we saw happen once or twice, they ended up dying trying to kill him. And then
Dire team's turn to pick.
the Void, I mean, look, for Dota and Die, it's a difficult hero to do much with in that sort of situation. He got a really fast Vanguard. Maybe Vanguard wasn't the best pickup there for first item, but for a safe lane hero,
seconds
it's not the greatest, and I don't think there's really that much he would have been able to do.
5 seconds remaining.
Because on the other end, APG never really forced the issue that much.
Reserve time.
APG were really happy just to sit back and farm and wait for XSC to make the mistakes. XSC felt they had to be doing stuff, so Void never had an opportunity to, TP in and do re-engage a fight with his Chrono after they had already been in the fight, because it was always under APG's tower. So the Dazzle was always the one coming and TPing in, or the Phoenix, they were the ones TPing in and making sure the fight went their way. While the Void, sat back and it's like, well, I can't TP in because it's too far for me to join the fights anyway.
Just a quick note, I think we've run into our silence issue on the draft skin, so perhaps just to, if you can put on open mic or something, just for the last 2 picks here. We actually haven't spoken a huge amount about the current draft anyways, so let's chat a bit about it here. I mean, we've got the Sven and the
team's
Oracle
turn to pick.
gonna finish up the bans here. With a better looking pickup for XC, it makes a little bit more sense to me. There's more going on here, and also once again, there's certainly some synergy on the side of APG as well. But Zara, why don't you give us your
10
thoughts on these
seconds
2
remaining.
matchups, how you think they're going to fare, perhaps any timing windows you think are very
5
important
seconds
for either of these
remaining.
sides?
Yeah, so I was pushing my push to talk button, but I don't know why that wasn't working. So I put on open mic now. Anyways, yeah, so it looks like they're going to have a safe lane start off for XT this time with the mid Death Prophet. So now it looks like on the other hand, they are the ones that are going to be wanting to put the, group up early, 5-man. Slaughter gets his blink really quickly. Silencer, wow, okay. Yeah, so basically what XC are going to want to do is they're going to want to get a really quick blink on Slaughter, Necros on Beastmaster, 5-man towers, and just push them with Beastmaster ulting someone or Slaughter blinking in and stunning, and they just get that quick kill and they can push a tower. Rinse repeats, ideally, obviously.
How do you feel about the Silencer in particular? I'm not a huge fan of Silencer in the support role myself, but maybe you have a different perspective on it.
No, XTC just seem to like picking one hero that just does not fit at all. So I mean, I guess that's their thing.
Very eloquently said. Anyways, on the
I
other side,
suppose it's like
your thoughts about
yes, yeah. So I mean, Silencer can work. It's a lot better relatively than the Necro pick. I mean, I'll give them that much at least. I mean, it can work. I mean, sorry, I was exaggerating there how bad it was. I mean, it's not that terrible. The only issue is in that you're kind of relying on its ulti more than anything else, which is I mean, if you can get that timing, that really good timing with it, then it's going to be amazing for their pushes. And actually, it's actually can work really well. So if Dota and Die blinks in and gets a stun off, and they try and counter engage, and you get the silence off, that's maybe 1 or 2 heroes you can get a kill with then, with that initial engage, and then then you can say yes, it was actually a really good pickup and it worked really well for them. I hope they saw that Witch Doctors. No ways they didn't. Yeah, they got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Turn the
Bill's
ball back.
actually
Yeah, there we go.
in a little bit of trouble. He does get off a decent paralyzing cast, but that bird's actually going to soak up one of them, and this ball is going to work him a bit. Bobby was able to just walk
Oh
off the
man,
edges.
with 77 free XP as well. He's almost got half a level from accidentally killing the bird, man. That was crazy.
I mean, yeah, I mean, when he hit the bird, I was like, oh, that's probably
30
not in his
seconds to
best
battle.
interest. He's probably going to die now. But apparently, Bobby was able to just literally walk it off. And mind you, it's not like he has boots or anything. He's not the slowest hero on the map by any means, but it's certainly interesting to just casually greet your opponents and walk either. But as you mentioned, they probably are aware that there's a ward now sitting in this. In fact, they're picking it out, so they're certainly aware that the ward is there. They're going to deward it pretty quickly. But they have actually used up one of their first sentries, expecting it to be on the high ground by the ancient creeps as well. But anyways, without further ado, let's go and introduce the players. Will be in the top lane, Heffalump handling the Beastmaster this time. Over towards the mid lane, we have Lion hanging around. That'll be handled by 756. Of course, the solo mid character will be Death Prophet, played by Ripink. Towards the bottom lane, we'll have on the one position, Dota and Die. And last but not least, Doom Bunny will be handling that support silencer, who I think we all feel is a little bit questionable all the same. Over to Zero and the side of currently Sog1, but actually APG.
Alright, so I'll start off with the ACG, middle lane Invoker. He's gone for Exort, level 1. He's got the Sunstrike up. I mean, that's pretty normal as well. On the off lane, we have O'Malley on the Darkseer. So it looks like then we're going to have Phalanx on the Phoenix. And then Bob Yule's a new player for APG up on the Witch Doctor. And Alisam on the position 1 Juggernauts.
So any predictions about, how the lanes should fare here? How you feel about perhaps potentially which off lane will get more on the lane, etc.?
Yeah, so first thing to notice, Dota and Die does have 8 tangos. It's probably the first requirement for going up against the Darkseer. You gotta have a crazy amount of regen. Doom Bunny is getting harassed down, even with boots, he's still getting chased down. That's quite impressive from O'Malley there. He's gone for the Glaives level 1. Interesting to say the least. That's still fine nonetheless. From this game, what I see, it's gonna look a bit more of the opposite. So now it's still going to be XCC wanting to make the plays early game, but this time they want to do it taking the 5-on-5 fights as much as possible. Bottom lane, they're just trying to harass out O'Malley, but didn't manage to get the kill.
And top lane actually almost a little bit of a mirror image. Hefflamp, although it was off camera, actually also taking a little bit of a pounding. Also the Maledict on him, but once again just level 1. Ooh, though Phalanx interested here. And oh, another birdie. I gotta say, I'm not fond of these birds dying, man. Oh, he left it behind.
Oh man.
You gotta look after birds, right? That's just like a thing.
Yeah, man, this is.
It's not cool, and it was killed by a bird. So as far as things are looking here, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed, but however. Certainly the Phoenix will be quite happy that he gets his share of
I suppose that's
the
just nature,
experience.
nature at its finest there.
the Phoenix killing the Hawk. It
Yeah.
sounds about right.
Yeah. So the first thing we can notice here already is the Darkseer versus Slardar. Slardar struggling to last hit under tower. I mean, not yeah. So while the Juggernaut top lane, he's getting most of his last hits. Yeah, so he's getting all of his last hits at the moment. While they're seeing 12 versus the 7 of Slaughter. Middle lane, apparently no one wants to get creeps. They're both sitting at 3 and where's Death Prophet at 3, Invoker at 2. So neither of them are
denies though.
yeah,
3 out of 5.
yeah. Neither of them are too interested in last hitting their own creeps. But anyways,
I mean,
yeah.
I had a challenge recently. You had to get something like 75 denies. Perhaps ACG and Ripping.
Yeah.
Completed.
Yeah, mutual standoff.
Yeah, that doesn't work in lobbies. But I gotta say, you should actually, whilst we pause and we have a little bit of time to have some fun, I gotta say, that challenge is really awkward to do. If you're trying to deny 75 creeps, and you effectively start pushing the lane as you naturally would, but it becomes very hard to deny creeps when there's sort of 4 shooter creeps as you're beating down on your opposing lane. And of course, they start building up because you're not very effectively pushing the lane at that point. You're just sort of tossing out those denies. So, you know, interesting little quest. I think those of you who are enjoying the TI compendium probably experience some fun stuff. So, you know, hey, you should let us all know. It's been a moment to
gotta
chat to us on
be
social media.
gotta be willing to die for this quest, man. It's the only
Yeah.
way. Oh, I love these quests and they're so much fun.
It's certainly good fun. But yeah, and again, I think just a nice opportunity as well, just to once again thanks the Telkom Digital Gaming League for, of course, making this all possible. We were chatting a little about the player matchups. If you missed on the first game, you'll notice some new faces on both the side of XC and APG. So if you're interested in that, go check out the Telkom Digital Gaming League website. I'm not too sure the exact URL, but you're probably best off, let's be fair, just tossing it into Google, and you'll find some interesting links, I'm sure, on the ongoings of these players and sides. But otherwise, as for this match, we have Invoker DC'd, but you know it might take them a little while to get back in. So let's talk about prospects here. Which draft, Zero, do you prefer on these two lineups?
That is a tough one. I think APG's one's a bit more solid overall in terms of their early, mid, and late game. Ecstasy, their draft falls off a little bit. Slaughter, Slaughter as a position 1, it's not too great later on as the longer the game goes on. But mid game, if Ecstasy can get the items they need, they can get the Necro 3 and the blink up on the blink and what's the armlets up on the Slaughter fairly quickly. They can cause a lot of havoc. They can certainly, if they get some good initiations, they can easily take fights. While on the other side, if they slip up a little bit and they let Anomaly gets a decent wall vacuum off, they're gonna get obliterated instantly.
It's not necessarily go there because it's probably gonna be a Maledict on top of that, right? And
yeah. So it's,
maybe a meatball.
yeah. So
it's in fact a Quaz Exalt Invoker, so probably the meatball a little bit further off, but still,
Yeah,
it'll hurt, right?
Yeah, it's either way. You're not gonna have the greatest time. ACG planting his tree, but he I think he just realized now that his Tango is still on cooldown. Interestingly enough.
A fan of Arbor Day.
Yeah,
I think
so
it lost 30 seconds though, so he should be okay to grab it before.
unless
it does
Ripping
expire.
goes for it. Come on, Ripping. I think it just disappears. Yeah, okay. I did not know they had an expiry date on them.
Oh, it's actually
Yeah,
20
lost.
seconds. Sorry,
Alright.
it's 20 seconds, not 30. So I guess it just expired. And he also actually joins the fray here. Maybe scouted out that there was an Invis Phoenix here. This would be a very tasty kill for them. Death Prophet, of course. This is certainly a hero that wants to get 6 as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Interesting with the Invoker, I mean, especially since there's a level in Sunshine, we're not too sure exactly where he's going with this just yet. Might still into the Exort and have just picked up the early level for farming capabilities. But Invoker is quite happy to sit in lane. Let's pair it out. He wants to soak up experience, which doesn't give a huge amount of opportunities for Rippling to actually pick up that potential easy push on the tower. But SG is actually getting a little bit of a hammering here, and even Doom Bunny now makes his appearance, gives him a little bit of a taste of his last word of medicine. But the top lane's a little bit concerning, man. Adestam, sitting at 20-for-9 at the moment, he's having a ball of a time at the top lane. And of course, Beastmaster making I would call it an intelligent rotation to the jungle. He pretty much had to, but it doesn't seem like he's getting quite as much farm out of it as the Beastmaster in the previous incarnation of this game.
Yeah. I don't think it looks like he hasn't really played it that much. He doesn't really know how to actually jungle Beastmaster properly. Which is actually going to be a problem for them because now they've left the top lane, open, and with that, you want to get the most out of the jungle as quickly as possible then. But now, it's not really happening. Silencer made a quick rotation middle, which is, perfectly fine. He had nothing to do bottom. Darkseer left bottom. It's just Slaughter against creeps. There's no reason for the Silencer to be there either. Maybe now, he could go, so he could TP top lane just to pull the creeps off the tower and just, get some more XP, or the Lion could, someone should at the very least, there's a lot of XP being wasted there.
I don't think it's gonna happen, man. This is. I think they're disrupting this tower.
Oh.
The timing may have been unfortunate on this, as
Except Ripping is going there now, and it's...
But 8. I mean, it looks like they actually. In fact, yeah, there's Don't Die in the front lines. Actually, I pulled that wrong. We'll actually pick up Bob Wheels here, and they're gonna be a little bit careful because Don't Die still wants a piece of flanks. He will Icarus dive out of trouble though, and Alistam unable to help out his buddies just yet. Does actually have them to the healing ward, so I'm not entirely sure why he didn't drop it down at that point. I don't think it would have made a huge difference all the same. And the result in the end does mean they do lose that offlane tower pretty early on.
Yeah.
Now, this does mean that they're going to have to be a little bit more, let's say, dedicated to keeping the creep equilibrium right for Adesam. But as you can see, immediately putting off to the stack over here, looks like Adesam might even be interested in giving this a little bit of a whirl, since it is now a triple stack. And bring down some of these creep waves. In fact, that's exactly what they're going to do. So this will be a nice influx of money for Adestam as well. They should pick up most of these, all the Phoenix. I'm not sure we got them. The line
Phoenix got 1, and Adesam got 2, and the Creeps got 1, the big ones. I mean, yeah, that's alright. It's a free stack for them. Whatever. Yeah, but I mean, while that's happening, I mean, that space created lets O'Malley go back in lane. Slaughter had to go back to base. I mean, Ripping had to do a huge rotation up there, and he had to run all that way. He's not even level 6 yet as a mid laner. ACG's halfway, almost halfway, or not a quarter way through level 7. So,
I think it's just got to be said for the denies. I mean, take a peek over there. 13 denies on ACG, obviously abusing that forward threat. We've seen this time and time again, but certainly is dampening the day of Ripping at the moment.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, how many of those were while Ripping was, went top? Because Ripping...
I thought O'Malley in the bottom lane here, taking quite a party. The bash is there as well. No way out. Don't die. Says good night. Picks up the second kill for XC. So at least what they lack in towers, they are finding kills at the moment, but still quite a quiet game. Yeah, sorry, as you're saying, you make a fair point. There's probably quite a few of those denies that occur when it was uncontested, but look at this Juggernaut, Adestam at the moment, sitting in the top lane. He was effectively farming just shy of the tier 2 tower range, and no real offensive being brought there. And probably just got a credit because he realized there was some action going on to O'Malley in the bot lane. 2 heroes tied up, not a huge likelihood of a rotation, considering that did in fact involve one of the primary initiators for the side of XC. But cheeky all the same.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the CS. We can already see, Juggernaut's way ahead of everyone else, and the mid lanes are trading evenly. But Dota and Die, he had to make a huge rotation top, where they got a kill out of it, but then he had to go all the way back to base. There was a lot of time he spent in the first 5 minutes of the game where he's not farming, where it's pretty critical that he gets a fast blink in this game. For them to be able to actually, push towers and get forward. ACG's, almost got his Midas recipe, which with the Bassi on top of that, so his timing's not going to be too bad for that.
In fact, he's assuming he doesn't get too much bullying in the mid lane. So Doom Bunny has in fact joined the fray as well. So can they make anything of this? There's also the support Bob Wheels. He hasn't shown himself just yet, so potentially could get the jump on his opponents here. Got the 2 levels in Paradise Cost, but once again, man, this Juggernaut is sitting at a tier 2 tower. I don't think this is okay. I mean, surely this is going to be an issue. But bottom lane, Don't Die has to get off the stun. TP Sport coming in as the courier going overhead, side by side with the Manny at the moment. It looks like no one's piece, but Surge is there, but there's a live siphon coming off into Tamari, and that is a face it up DP, so he does not care for any of this nonsense and will pick up the kill as well. But once again, space created, mid lane, ACG going to town this tier 1 tower, and even this tier 2 in top lane, once again thinking at about half HP. APG might be behind on kills, but they're actually doing an amazing job with using the map well.
Yeah, and if Heffalump actually managed to farm in the jungle efficiently, I think he would have had... I mean, it's 8.5 minutes in. I'd said in the last game, 6 minutes in, you can get your level 6's Beastmaster. It's 8.5, almost. He's going to have it at 9 minutes. That's really slow for a Beastmaster in the jungle to get his ulti up. So if he had his ulti up, they could have maybe killed the Juggernauts, pushing so far in that lane, or maybe, the Juggernaut just wouldn't have been that far, knowing that, Beastmaster could get in there and ulti him. So again, it's sort of like, I think Heffler maybe just doesn't understand or hasn't played Beastmaster that much, or hasn't, watched any replays of Beastmaster's jungling, which is kind of like, it's really crucial for you as a, player at this level to actually understand what you're doing, properly, and be able to play your role efficiently. So I think that is...
now these guys 6 up as well. It's really important he gets involved in the kill, right? Because can you look at that 12-minute necro, and at the moment, I don't see that happening. So, bottom lane actually Slardar picked up once again third and down by falls. So it's time to Phalanx, who gets his team on the board, but certainly not handy considering that the CS at the moment between the Jugger and the Slardar is 46 versus 73. I mean, effectively, this is... It's not actually as wonderful as it might appear at first, because that's not far off perfect farm. We'll hold on phase, and of course Surge from Anastasia just mantles 756, who probably took a moment there just to figure out what on earth happened, because that was a very, very quick death, and it should translate into another 2-2 tower.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Anastasia, with quite a high CS, obviously some of that is in fact the neutral camp, so he's got a little bit of bolstering from it, but it's still a very impressive CS at 10 minutes. And add a tower to that, because Adastan's going to get the right click in as well. So he is probably... I mean, it looks like he is, in fact, going for the Battle Fury, and not too surprisingly. But he should have quite a good timing on that, considering he's picked up Phase Boots and Aquila as well, initially.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world still for XSC. They're sort of... The only hero that really needs farm, which is the problem, is the Death Prophet. I mean, that's the only hero really that needs to get really strong. Slardar, at the moment, you know, if Slardar gets a blink, that's fine. They can go and make kills. They can do a lot with just the blink. So that's what they really need, and getting that tower is definitely going to help them along that way.
Well, he is in fact just a couple of 100 gold shy, so if he's brave enough to stick around, he should be able to pick up the blink that will get pretty close to it from this creep wave. But once again, a lot of pressure being placed on by APG. Now, gonna get actually the denial for XC on third mid tower, but another tower does fall. A little bit interesting to see a side that, in my opinion, has... It's not like they're bad pushing heroes, right? I mean, Invoker Forge Spirits, you got the Healing Ward that can support as well, and things that naturally push out, like the Darkseer, that get a little bit of peripheral damage onto these lanes. But it is odd to see a DP game where, if you take a look at the towers, mid tower is sitting very, very healthy, bot tower much the same, and only the safe lane tower being taken down by XC inside 11 minutes. So, not terrible by any means, but it's just interesting to see the fact that it's actually going the other way at this point. With 3 towers down in 10 minutes, that's a pretty good day at the office so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes down to, again, like, they're just falling behind somehow. I mean, there wasn't any reason for them really to fall behind. It's going to be hard to start in his lane, but it's still, he still should have got a bit more out of it. The ripping Death Prophet definitely should have got more of it. He should have, I don't think he should have, you know, gone to the off lane too much that early on. I mean, they lost the tower anyway. He probably should have just, you know, stuck middle and just kept harassing mid. Invoker got his Midas at, I think it was at 10 minutes he got it at. So he's already managed to use it twice now in 12 minutes 30, so he's going to start pushing ahead. While the Beastmaster, he's almost got Necro Book, but I mean, he's got no points in Inner Beast, so I mean, it's obvious that he has not watched many Beastmaster games, and that he just actually doesn't really know how to play Beastmaster Pro, because that Inner Beast, it's actually so strong. I mean, that attack speed aura, it's really crazy.
It translates into a lot of damage, and
yeah,
something that they're going to need. I mean, you want to bring down the likes of the Juggernaut before he can react. And generally speaking, a Beastmaster with the Necro Books up can do that quite effectively. Does have it up at the moment. But I'm curious, there we go, actually, finally do see that in a Beastmaster. So it has actually picked up the 1 level, so that's going to help them out quite a bit. And potentially bringing down one of these cores. One of the things that's absolutely huge about the likes of Beastmaster is that he can, potentially at this point, find the Juggernaut and actually kill him before he can react. And that is absolutely massive, and could change the sort of prospects of XC as it were. But at the moment, let's take a look at the golden XP graph, see how it's actually responding. XP is sitting at quite a decent lead for the side of the APG, who have actually smoked up, so let's just keep an eye on them as they move around. But about a 3,000 XP lead, and gold at the moment is sitting, wow, that's pretty impressive, sitting at just shy of 5,000, so a really solid start for them, and potentially getting a little bit wider as they might catch out something. They do see Doombuddy, but they might be interested in a little bit of a bigger fish, so taking a little bit of time to commit to this, as ACG now does actually pop a smoke. I think he cast, I'm not actually sure how that possibly popped, but same, they will start descending upon this tier 2 tower on the bottom lane now. and they should find it. Everybody might be cheeky and try to go for Nye. Nice
Radiant's
attempt, but
bottom
just
tower
a
has
little bit too early. But can we blame him against 2 Force Spirits and an Invoker?
I mean,
I don't think would be fair.
in the first place, I mean, what were they doing while they gave up their safe lane tier 2? That is like one of the most important tier 2 towers in the game. I mean, that's their only access to Rosh now. Like that was their closest access to Rosh, and now it's gone. So if they want to get to Rosh quickly from top lane, they have to TP to middle lane, and that's quite a bit further than just that bottom tower. And it's also the entire jungle now that opens up for APG just to go and farm, because there's no, like, I mean, if they get caught in the jungle, there's nowhere for XSC to TP into to actually, help with that fight. So giving up that tower like that, when they have the Death Prophet ulti up, it's really bad. Like, that's not something they should ever think of doing, and that's not something that they should be really upset with themselves now that they have done that. On the plus side, they might get this Juggernauts here.
Yeah, Addistam caught out. The thing comes out immediately, and they will burst him down very, very quickly. The silence also used, though, probably because there were some APG supports in the vicinity. Looks like they'll be satisfied with it, but that's actually quite a bit to use. I mean, the Beastmaster ulti doesn't have a giant cooldown, should be back up and running soon enough. But both Silencer and Line, very, very big ultis, long cooldowns, both expended. They will try to rope around here, so Manny does hit for the jungle, but they're going to scout him out here. Dundai does manage to get him all lit up for his teammates, and that Surge is going to run out before that sprint, one would imagine. Does pop the Iron Shell, but this should be a nice clean kill as well. 756 toss out the stun to make sure, and also kill secure with that last right click. But some good news for XE, who, I mean, look, the thing is that although they're finding these kills, they're not using their space as well as the APG. So if you were to just tune in and you look at 60 minutes in and see 5-2, you probably wouldn't be in too much shock. I think what's more concerning is that you actually take a look at the gold graph. That's a recovery from about 7,500 after finding 2 cores, and they're still 5,000 behind. So it's really not a great position for them to be in at this point. And Addistam and friends now going to town on Roshan does mean they're going to have even more just capability to just roam the map, cause trouble. And of course, next time you do potentially catch out Addistam now, he's probably coming equipped with an Aegis, which means that that fight's going to turn ugly very soon.
At the same time, though, a lot of that net worth isn't in fighting items. So you've got ACG, who's got 2,000 on a Midas, and Addistam, who's got a Battle Fury, which is, I can't remember how much a Battle Fury is.
4-6 or something?
And those are 2 items, that's what, 6 worth of net worth that's not invested in fighting right now. They're both for late game. So, like, while it, like, I mean, yes, it is really crazy that it's that high a difference. For fighting, if they had to take a 5-on-5 it's not as crazy as, it's not going to have as much of an impact in the team fight as you would imagine. However...
there's also good news. I mean, look, 756 got his blink dagger up, so that's pretty handy. That's certainly a helpful fight in the team fight, right?
Yeah, that's really surprising, actually, that he managed to get that fast, to be quite honest. So yeah, that's really good. So now, like, the problem is, though, is that they're letting all the lanes pushing. They're doing a really... What on earth?
Sorry, hold the thought. Do have Addistam actually caught out by the Soul Siphon here of everything. They're going to commit the Raw as well. So no vacuum wall combination available. The buyback actually expended, but the Aegis now popped up. Phoenix, Egg in the middle of things. Going to be enough to force some trouble. Dota and Die could get caught up with this, and does. Blown up by the Omni Splash. And 5 up for the sides of APG, who did use a buyback on that Darkseer. But just showing how important those tier 1 towers are, back in the fray and ready to push on, but perhaps a little unnecessary in the end, as really didn't offer a huge amount of value, but does mean that they are in a good position to push up here.
The Darkseer didn't buy back. I don't see the Dark. No, it was the Juggernaut died with Aegis. That was the only thing that I saw. I did not see the Darkseer buyback, unless that was a bit earlier.
I think. Oh, hold on. Addistam actually caught up by the finger.
Oh, he's actually gonna die. Wow.
Vacuum. I don't know what to say. That the vacuum was great, but it actually pulled them out of Deafening Blast. Confused me, certainly, and maybe bailed them out of a little bit of trouble. But they will actually pick up the Lion thanks to some good old-fashioned Phoenix burn, and Phalanx even managed to taper off with his life. But imagine for a second if that vacuum had been ever so slightly later, and there was Deafening Blast as well. Could have potentially been a nice little bit of work there where they could have turned it around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just thinking, I think Beastmaster actually roared the... Unless it went crazy, which does happen from time to time, but I think Beastmaster actually roared the Darkseer at the beginning of that fight. But
No, he wrote the Juggernaut just before the Juggernaut died. So the Juggernaut, the Juggernaut ran in looking to get an ulti off. He had Aegis, they blew the silence for him. They popped a lot of stuff on the Juggernaut, and then the Juggernaut respawned, and then they consequently won the fight because XC used everything on Aegis hero. But I mean, in all, if they didn't have Aegis, I mean, I doubt Addison would have ran in like that. But even so, like that went, you know, relatively well for XC. I think if without that Aegis, they would have probably won that fight, you know, fairly convincingly.
Well, certainly would have had the slot up, right? I mean, he tanked
Yeah.
a full blaze,
Yeah.
or Omni Slash, excuse me. So could be
Yeah.
better. I mean, it's important. Those little small victories, even when you work out with a bit more of a deficit. You're probably right. Could have ended up a little bit worse. But on the sidelines here, we do have the smoke coming through from the side of APG, who could make things very interesting. Decent vacuum onto 2. 756 is very far forward at the moment. Should get punished, but a nice stop comes from Go and Die. But there's not a huge amount of follow-up. Phalanx is brought down though, so the rest of his team starts to engage. Ice will popped up by ACG, going to delay any further aggression for the meanwhile. But Rippling probably definitely wants to get at least a little bit of damage onto this tier 2. Unfortunately for him though, Adestam way ahead of the game here. Going to probably bring down this tier 2 uncontested, and does so, whilst the side of XC trying to make some work onto this tier 2 tower towards the middle lane here. But on the sidelines now, you find Don't Die picking up a nice handy kill. And there's the roll. This time it certainly is Artur Mali, who's in quite a bit of trouble here and should be brought down, is thanks to the Slither and Crush. And it does mean that good old XC find themselves a very handy pair of kills. The only real downside of that is Adestam really causing some havoc here, pushing down, doing quite a fair amount of damage to that tier 3 tower for 21 minutes in for a solo hero. But the rest, I'll leave up to Zera to give you his thoughts on how that all went down. Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to jump in because the Omni Stash comes down to Doom Bunny and he just gets deleted from the game. And I wonder if they'll be interested in more. I don't think Don't Die is a very tasty looking morsel at this point, so that should be the end of it. So, your thoughts on the last passage of play?
God knows what Doom Bunny was doing, still hanging around there. I mean, that was really good for them. They got 3 heroes for that. I mean, what they got the Darkseer, the Witch Doctor, and the Phoenix, all, you know, and the Tower. That was really good for XC. That is, you know, that's gonna. I mean, if you look at the net worth now the net worths are climbing. They're catching up. Juggernaut's still quite a bit ahead, but considering he went to Battle Fury and had such a good start, the Juggernaut is going to stay ahead unless he dies a few times in a row. He's going to stay a bit ahead. Invoker with Midas and Boots of Travel, along with Forward Switch. Also, he's going to have lots of CS. He's going to have lots of farm. So they're always probably going to be quite high up, top 2. Then, you know, maybe they'll fall down 3 or 4. But I mean, that was a huge boost for them, and that's really the sort of stuff that they need to be doing here. They need to, you know, get those pickoffs, this, you know, one by one, where they can cause these little small chaotic fights here and there with the starter online both having blink. Well, and as you're going to see at the middle,
very soon, Mali gets deleted once again. Nice rotation there from Don't Die in 756. Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, they demonstrated exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what they need to be doing. I mean, even if it's just those 2, they just need to be getting these small pickoffs here and there all the time, with Death Prophet farming. Death Prophet's only got 2 in his Crypt Storm, so he's not farming as fast as he would really like to. He's decided to go a bit more on the silence, which is interesting, to say the least. It's probably fine in the long run. I just think getting the Crypt Storm up is really nice, the 300 damage, and it just really boosts your farm. They've got silence already. You know, they don't really need the additional silence.
Fair comment. Oh, ACG getting very low in the top lane. They Don't Die, still charging. No, he's going to give that one up. And a very good call because the Power Rangers did indeed assemble. APG going to send 4 to the top lane, or rather 3 to bail out their silencer. And they could spot out the Don't Die. It does have the blink dagger, so unlikely to. Unless he walks straight into it, he does. And Adestam has no qualms about unleashing his power onto poor old Don't Die. He gets summarily dismissed, and unfortunately, it sort of feels he just hung around for too long, as we do see 756 and friends do scamper away quite quickly in the end. But APG find a very valuable kill. They're going to slow down some of that aggression that you were speaking about, Zera.
Yeah.
I don't know your objective of this. I mean, 29 seconds. A little bit of time to work with you.
Yeah, luckily for XTC they've already lost all objectives. APG can take down top lane apart from the tier 3 tower, which they won't have enough time to do. You know, so APG can't really do much from that. Perhaps that's part of XTC's strategy. Who knows? But
Let
yeah,
the core die and
yeah,
have them back in time because there's
yeah, yeah.
no tasty morsels lying on.
Yeah, but I think Dota and Dai, I'm not going to criticize his play too much there because I think I don't think he was expecting, you know, four
Already
heroes to be
Adestam
there.
on the bottom lane descends upon 756 once again, smashing them all. And the Hex does come out in time, but there is backup in the form of ACG. He managed to get a very long call, so the Sunstrike's going to go wide at 756. Oh, he actually gets the blink off. And it was right before the crit was coming out from Adestam, who might have for a second thought he was in business, because as he was coming down, Lion just managed to get out of dodge. So nice work there, and that blink dagger coming in real handy at 756 will be very satisfied with these last series of events. They're so Adestam, but small bearing on the game all the same.
Yeah, I mean that's really nice. You know, that means that now, you know, without getting that kill, it's sort of like a wasted rotation. There was so many heroes that went there. Yes, Adesam got farm out of that, but I mean, other than that, there wasn't
He got
much.
the kill. And he might just get some more.
But I
from
think
it
he's
as
gonna
well.
die from this now.
Yeah, no raw coming out just yet. Comes out really late, in fact. And the Necrobooks are there, but this could be a Sunstrike, and is. So, well, I think it worked out in the end. Adestam gets his pound of flesh, and now certainly they could get a little bit out of this. We'll start healing up the Juggernaut. There is also the
What on
missing
earth?
a kill. They don't die, picking one up.
Yeah,
But-
2-up. He just killed the Doxia and the Witch Doctor.
Not much good's happening
Oh,
to
well.
Reed.
So somehow they got a
Pretty
3-for-2 trade. I don't know how that happened, but I think they went on Dota and Die, and he just turned and decided, okay, I'm actually not scared of you. I'm gonna fight both of you. Even the mech was even used for the Doxia, and there is a level 3 Voodoo Restoration ups. I mean, that's that's pretty crazy that he managed to get both those kills.
Get omeletted, yo. I guess
Yeah.
is the best way to describe that.
Pretty much. And that's now, I mean, he just got his Ogre Axe into him, and now he's got a BKB up. I mean, he already had the Mithril Hammer, but I think those 2 kills and a little bit of farm just gave him, yeah, geez, O'Malley gave him 628 gold by himself, and Witch Doctor gave him 477. So they basically just gave him his BKB recipe from those 2 kills. I mean, so not too bad from him.
And perhaps he can attribute some of it to the fact that he was lagging at the time. I mean, that just
Yeah,
makes it
maybe.
even more interesting, right?
Yeah, maybe it was, the delayed omelet toggle that managed to get him, keep him alive. Who knows?
Or at least perhaps keep them interested for long enough for
Yeah.
him to keep them interested. But that said, I mean, Adestam is looking huge. Finished up the Manta style now. It's sinking 1,800 net worth and sitting on 4.3k cash after completing Battle Fury, Manta, and a Blink Dagger. Any thoughts what he should go for here? Do you think saving for buyback is necessary at this point?
No, I think even if he dies, they're not. I mean, XTC won't be able to do much really. Yes, they have the ghosts, but if they fight, I feel like they're going to be fighting on XTC's side of the map. So even if there's a 5-man wipe and XTC don't lose anyone, I still don't think they're going to have to buy back. They got 1, 2, 3, 4 towers still to go through before they get to their racks. And I think XC right now need to just, get rid of those outer towers just to give themselves a bit more space rather than try push for tier 3 towers. Because even if they do get to the tier 3 towers, there's the scare, like you're always going to be scared of buyback. So you don't really want to commit that hard for it when you're that far behind. Rather sort of just take what you can scenario with it. So I think, yeah, so in terms of buying, saving for buyback, I don't think it's really necessary right now. What he should get or can get, I mean, he's got Manta for the silence now, so that's really nice. Other than that, I mean, he can go for the Abyssal. Abyssal's always nice. He can go for the Butterfly if he wants. Diffusal if he really wants to get rid of the silence.
Fan of Abyssal in this current patch. A really expensive item to give you effectively some HP and a bash. I mean, that's not entirely a fair comment, but from my perspective, and yours is pretty likely the better perspective, but from my side, I'd really like to see him go for something like the Butterfly, just to give him that, a little bit of extra potential damage output, a couple of less damage taken, and of course, You know, it's making flutter to a lane, get a little bit of extra farm.
Yeah.
By the way, yeah, go ahead.
There's still the Scouty option as well for the Juggernaut, which is really nice as well.
Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah, it actually is also something to make him quite hard to take down. But whilst we pause here, I think it's going to still be a little while for service since we have lost our Witch Doctor as well. I feel that Flutter might be the most underused skill in Dota. Not necessarily because it should be used more frequently. It's not like an amazing thing, but the butterfly activatable, I just don't think people use it. I mean, it seems to be one of those things that just
I disagree a little bit. I mean, watching some of the pro players and international games. They definitely use it, and they use it really well. They will chase you with that flutter, get their 5-2, and they will hunt you down with it. Maybe not SA so much. I don't watch a lot of the SA games. I usually only watch when the BVD guys are playing. And I know they tend to use it quite a bit. Whenever they do get it. So maybe it's just the local guys that you've casted that don't use it as much, but I know definitely internationally, and the top tier players definitely do use it very wisely, and they're quite efficient with it, and getting the most out of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, to be fair, I think I was more so just chatting about pubby stuff. I certainly think all things in Dota have their uses at some point, and certainly there's a good time and place. But they do actually scout out good old Alistam here with a scan, and there are two angry-looking characters here, and they're pretty much the perfect ones. Oh, but the Blade Soul comes up too early here, and I think they're going to get into themselves a little trouble. Nice Hex, all the same. He's actually run out of mana, so Don't Die are going to help out and seal the deal, but that could have turned ugly very, very quickly. Fortunately for Alistam, he actually didn't have the Omni Slash available at the time, so not able to unleash hell, but we were talking seconds, potentially, off a very big turnaround. But
yeah,
the window is now slightly open.
Yeah, they've
by
got...
the way, he bought out as well. He's actually got a Eagle Song and a Talisman of Evasion sitting on the courier. So that's 55 seconds where this tier 2 tower is certainly a nice tasty objective that they should be able to pick up.
At the same time, Ecstasy don't actually know that. It was in the courier, so I haven't seen that. But also, on a note, for if you're playing into Juggernaut, when the Juggernaut's spinning, you can actually see how long the spin is on top of the. If you click on the Juggernaut, you can see the little buff duration on top of his, next to the portrait there. So I think, if you are a support player and you're trying to find that timing for the spin, you can click on the Juggernaut and you can see as it goes down, you can cast your stun on him or get ready to, incidentally, you can also just spam Hex wherever he is and hope that, you get it before he gets off his Omni Slash.
That's some wise words. I must say, as we see Roshan also, by the way, being a target here of APG, who might pass us over to ACG if the Juggernaut doesn't get here in time. But, in fact, he is keeping it. And there's that tier 2. I mean, you spoke a little bit about the other way around, talking about how if you don't have that tier 2 tower up in your bottom lane, it's such a long trek to Roshan, but that's actually showing the power of having your 1-up, as you can just literally flutter into the lane and of course into the rush, but very, very quickly. Now it is up on that Juggernaut, who is pretty huge now. It's finished off that Butterfly as well, and I think has every reason in the world considering high ground at this point, or at least pressuring it.
Well, at the same time though, I mean, for all the items, I mean, he's still a very squishy hero. He's only got 1700 HP. While, Lion has, 725 burst already, excluding, just his ulti. He's still pretty squishy a hero. Not impossible to take down, but if he manages to get in and get a really good Omni Slash, that's 2 heroes dead at least. So he's certainly going he's a bit of a glass cannon at the moment.
So how do you deal with this? I mean, do you toss out do you commit the raw to the Aegis version of Alistam and accept that he's coming back? Or do you try to find a better opening? I mean, he's walking up your high ground. He's definitely going to be the character you have to pick a fight with. In fact, they do try, but unfortunately the Blade Fury once again is up in time. And now Meteor's flying through the different boss. Nice use of the yield there by his time, but 756 is victimized by Alistam, who still is helped up by O'Malley on the sidelines, picking up 1. And still going down, trying to be down the silencer, and the vacuum is excellent. Blue Bunny will toss out some sort of defensive as Don't Die leads on the front lines. We'll pick up the 1. Alistam still seeing that Aegis though, 2 for 1 at the moment. We're with just a line on the sidelines. But we'll actually pick out O'Malley. Does love the Aegis, bear in mind, but just turns around and starts beating down F-Flap, and we'll find the kill pretty easy in. And Don't Die just absolutely trapped at the moment. Does manage to find a way out though. Secure the Aegis at least being dropped there, but Alistam does not care, keeps going. But the fortification is there. Rip Inc. really aggressive at the moment, still going forward, but all alone, diving deep in. The Omni Slash, I think, flies through, but oh, in fact, it's just the illusions. I got very confused there for a second. As Ripink still hunting down, they will actually pick up ACU with a clever wave into the jungle, and Adistam turns his attention to Don't Die. This is actually a pretty solid defense at the moment. They bring down the healing ward, but the blink is there, as now the chase is on at the moment for Bob Hules. He's trying to hide in the sidelines and might just get away with it, and in fact does, as Don't Die unable to get much more out of this. But that's a pretty decent defense in the end, and just the lone Forge Spirit left to do a little bit of extra damage to that range Rax. But for now, XC keep fighting, and must be said, against an Aegis, that's a pretty solid bit of work from them.
Yeah, they had the right idea. So in those sort of situations against Aegis cards like that, what they tried to do there with the line and slot up blinked in, you kind of just like, you want to just blink in, get a stun off, get a hex off with the lion, and then just sort of spam your spells at him. And then you whittle him down very slowly, and then you get the free Aegis pop off that way quite usually. I mean, if he didn't spin there, it would, very possibly they would have killed Adistam, on top of the racks and got the Aegis for free. And then that forces APG to actually take a fight then. So they definitely had the right idea. It was just a bit unfortunate that, Adistam
is getting destroyed here, and he is destroyed, brought down. And after all the good work they've done, it hasn't mounted to huge amounts yet. The Phoenix Egg dropped as well, as Adistam's own illusion does a world of damage to him with the help of the Necrobooks as well. Now, Don't Die goes, he actually doesn't manage to get his stun off at all, but ACG still absolutely destroyed. Ripping back in the fray here, turns attention to Bobby Wills, who is summarily dismissed from this side of the map, as they start beaming down onto APG, who are backing off with speed at the moment. Surge popped out, and Adistam, he could be in a little bit of trouble. Don't Die actually did get slowed down quite a bit there, but is still quite keen on fighting through this. Mantle Illusions will be enough to disable the blink though, and his chances of picking up Adistam. But in fact, once again, I think there was, tell me, am I still going crazy? There already was a buyback this time, right? And it worked out pretty well for them.
So Death Prophet bought back there, and the previous fight Beastmaster bought back. They are using buyback.
Adistam might be caught out again. Turns attention, but immediately hexed up by Adistam. Can he follow up in time? Doesn't get off the stun in time. We'll pop the blade for the Ghost Scepter, but might be a little preemptive. Actually, quite a bit of damage, and Flank's lapping it up at the moment, and it's going to be for good old Adistam in the end, who does a little right click there and finishes the deal. We'll actually surge him up as well, trying to find some new victims, but they will be disappointed to find out that jungle is pretty much evacuated at this point. The only person really showing their colors at the moment is Heflump in the top lane. He's trying to get a bit of a counter push going, but once again, these racks do stand, and XT's hopes do stand with them. Zera, give us your thoughts, man. How do you see this game going?
Right now, XT need to stop giving away these cheap little kills in the middle of nowhere. Like the lion dying there, and it's happened a few too many times now, where it's like they get this really good fight off, and then they lose a hero somewhere for absolutely no reason. Death Prophet's going into this really strong stage now, which has got the Octarine core, which really keeps you alive for quite a lot longer in team fights than you would normally. So if they can keep that sort of defense up, it's gonna be quite decent for them. Slaughter is working his way towards an Assault Cuirass. Is almost there, just needs the Hyperstone, I believe. Yeah, just needs the Hyperstone. Once he gets that, it's going to be a lot easier, obviously, to kill the Juggernauts and all other heroes. Other than that, Beastmaster needs to continue split pushing. They need to push this bottom lane out a lot further. The creeps are just always at their base. They need to just push it out properly. They're going for a smoke up here now, but by the time they find a hero, their Raxes are going to be, their range Rax might even get taken by these creeps here before they even find someone. So as much as they should be looking for pickoffs, push your lanes out first. They have to push their bottom lane out. They have to push it, maybe even take a bit of a risk and go as 5 and just push it all the way to the tower and maybe even try take that tower rather than, run around here trying to find stuff to do.
That is a very fair point. At the moment, this tier 1 tower is going to act as just a little bouncer
Yeah.
to keep the pressure consistently down. I mean, normally speaking, I mean, the sort of rule of thumb is to be on the river in this sort of situation. Even though it's a little bit challenging, at least get the push going beyond the river. At this point, as soon as it reaches the river, good old Tower over here doing his team a lot of good work. And, you know, bolstered up by the fact that O'Malley is just spamming down these iron shells while keeping this lane pushed out. XC do have to find something some good work down in this bottom lane. Zero, I wanted to ask you spoke a little bit earlier about the starter, strong in the mid game, starts falling off. We reached the late game stage, let's be fair. 36 minutes in, it's unlikely that this game's going to end before 40. Who's got this late game? I mean, the Juggernaut should be huge, but there's the DP and the Slaughter.
Yeah, I think in general, the net worth, I mean, I feel like Invoker should have a little bit more. Maybe I don't know. I mean, he's got drums, I mean, he's got a lot of items, but not a lot of items, if you know what I mean. Like, it's really weird. He's level 19, so that's decent, but so is the Starter. The Starter's managed to keep up, you know, like, Starter's done a really good job of catching up in this game, and he's actually going to find ACG. I think ACG is dead.
Catch up is exactly what he's going to do, and he catches out ACG, and he is just deleted. Once again, 756. Absolutely no concerns about tossing off that ulti. He knows that Invoker's worth a lot more than he is at this point, so pretty satisfied to toss out that.
So, there is one thing that XCC do have, is that with the Beastmaster late game, that raw going through BKB, going through Magic Community in general, that gets incredibly stronger as the game goes longer. And once he gets, if he decides to go Refresher, he's gone for Boots of Travel instead. But once he goes for that Refresher, you raw one hero, you have a Lion jumping on top of you after that, you have a Slaughter jumping on top of you after that. That hero is dead in that raw, unless they have abilities. So unless, Phoenix maybe gets a Scepter, there's a Glimmer Cape or Force Staff or something to save them. So Adestam, even with all his farm, he's picked up an AC now as well. All he really has left to get is, upgraded Boots of Travel, a Moonshard, and then maybe swap the Battle Fury out for something else. In terms of HP, he's not going to get much tankier than he already is. He's got all his items now. So 2000 HP, he's got a lot of armor, but I mean, one raw, one Lion Finger of Death, a couple of right hits with minus armor on, with the Death Prophet ulti over. He's going to die really fast.
Could you see there's an argument for perhaps, you spoke about replacing the Battle Fury, perhaps replacing it with something like the Scarlet itself, and maybe even tossing up the Blink Dagger and giving up the mobility for a little bit more survivability?
So I think he definitely still needs the Blink. Juggernaut really struggles with mobility, so keeping the Blink is pretty important, I feel.
We're really going to have to hold that thought because the engagement is there and it's big. Blanks drops the Aegis and the Meteor flies through. Ripping tosses himself into the air as the Axis doesn't work. Don't die. Standing his ground, but he's going to get deleted. So is everyone at this point. 3 for just the Invoker at this point. As 756 backs off, but the most important thing about that's 3 cores just for the solo mid, and it does mean that Roshan is going to be easy pickings, and this will come accompanied with a cheese as well.
Yeah, so that was really good. Yeah, so APG, okay, so Adesam is actually giving up his Blink for Aegis. That's interesting. I suppose. Yeah, he hasn't got buyback. He probably now we're getting to the stage where, like, on your chords you have to have that buyback. So Juggernaut without buyback, he'll have buyback by the time he loses his Aegis. He has gotten his Moonshot now, actually. Now that I see.
By the way, talking about that, there's no buyback on the Slaughter. There's 25 seconds. The DP can buy back, but no LT just yet. 43 seconds out. So.
Yeah, so that was the risk about pushing that tower. They should have taken a bit slow. I don't think they needed to actually try force the tower, and it's not a great place to force a fight. It's APG's defensive spots, and they don't have buybacks either. So fighting like that without buybacks on a core hero, it's you're gonna struggle.
Well, the fight rages on. He's got Papa and Maddie. As Edison was the initial attention there, but they dropped down it. The blink from Darren Dye is there, but he is not in a very safe place at the moment. Raw comes onto ACG as O'Malley does take the finger as well. Glimmer up onto Darren Dye, does back off the meanwhile, but turns again, once again to ACG, who's still standing at the moment. We're going to push back Darren Dye. The blinks on there from ACG. Meteor does not connect though, but towards the actual base as well. Doom Bunny getting very, very low. DP's been brought down. Starter does fall as well. Doom Bunny smart enough to get around that Sunstrike, but unfortunately won't escape the Sunray. And I think that just might be all short. Once again, the DP won't have an ulti available for another 85 seconds. Everybody's fighting, so the buybacks are real though. They definitely want to try to defend. The stun comes through onto Adestam. He's ripping, tries to get something out of the silence comes as well. Adestam being very, very low here. Does still have that Aegis though. And the Death Ward coming up from the Witch Doctor just does not seem to be doing a huge deal right now. As Rippick backs off the Life Siphon, does get off on Adestam, who's pretty much just trashing everything he touches at the moment. They're going to try kite him. And 756 does get a little bit interested. Flanks caught up there. The silence pops as well. Adestam fights through it at the moment. Does have that Aegis. Will come back to life now. ACG as well as Bobby Wills on the sidelines going to come back in to support him as Ripping tries to get off the silence. Does go a little bit off time, and that will mean that they'll be able to back off, but pretty much job done, and they can feel very happy with what they've gained from this. 2 sets of racks down for the side of XC, and once again finding themselves with their backs against the wall. It's been a significantly better performance, but for the meanwhile, does look like APG are very likely to take this 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, that was 3 buybacks. Slaughter died in base to Sunstrike. So he's dead for 90. I mean, APG can go heal up, do whatever the hell they want now, and then just go back and push top. I mean, XC have kind of the right ideas. They're just not executing it properly. Half of them try to go on the Juggernaut, half of them went on other heroes, you know, so it was a bit of a miscommunication, as well as just poor hero choices. I mean, they weren't, even if they committed everything to kill Adestam, I mean, then what? He comes back alive and they die anyway. They needed to really just try keep Adestam, maybe just like, you know, throw a Hex onto Adestam and just, you know, focus on the Invoker or the Darkseer or the Phoenix, or just, you know, kill another hero. They might, no, they're not going to get a pick off for O'Malley here because he is moving back just in time.
Well, I mean, we've spoken a little bit about what they can look to achieve here, but I mean, the outlook's just really, really not great at the moment. I think it would take something pretty special to come back from this position. As I did mention, I think this has been a much better performance from XC, but unfortunately, it's likely just going to have the same result in the end. APG setting up nicely. They do in fact have buybacks on the Jugger and the Invoker, both of which have travel. So in other words, they're effectively running with the poor man's Aegis, can get back into this fight should they need to, and that is against a big fat Zip at the moment. Just the Beastmaster with the buyback, and unfortunately, once he's popped out his Primal Roar and his Necronomicon, even if he buys back, he's pretty much a non-issue. There's not a huge amount he can offer after that, and the likelihood is he will try to get off 30, and maybe even go for now. Does in fact pop the Roar onto Adestam, but there's just no follow-up, absolutely nothing coming in. Silence does come through now as Don't Die tries to go down to ACG. Will pop the BKB though, line on the sideline. 756 gets off a decent stun as Phoenix goes into the backline, pops the egg as well. They're trying to bring it down, but there's just mayhem at the moment. The wall is popped by O'Malley. Doom Bunny's gonna fall. The Death Ward triumphantly sitting in the backline as 756. Last man of fall, but certainly the last man of fall for this matchup as well. As APG once again just looked too good and take a much more hard-fought victory, but certainly a solid victory over XC once more. Zero,
Yep.
any last thoughts before we close up?
Not much. I mean, it's kind of expected, the ending there. XC, they played well. They just needed to, I think they maybe needed to 5-man a bit earlier with the Death Prophet ulti to get the startup blink timing a bit better, and Beastmaster 6 earlier. Then they could have just 5-manned and pushed and, you know, caused a lot more havoc and not given Adestam that much time to free farm in the early game. I mean, I think that's about most of it, really.
Well, on that note, I think just a couple of thanks to go out before we close off here. Obviously to Telkom Digital Gaming League for hosting this Masters event, and then of course to all the viewers who supported this matchup. Where would we be without you? Lastly, Zera, I want to say a special thanks to you for not only co-casting with me tonight and adding some valuable insight, but also being so kind as to stream for us to reach that little bit of an extra audience as well. That's so important. So, big thanks to you, and of course, I guess that's it, guys.
Yeah,
So,
it was a pleasure to be here.
Great, man. I'm hoping to see more of you. I'm not thinking of the hook, you know, you're being caught out. We know you're capable, so you can expect to see you around, I'm sure. Anyways, guys, once again, thanks very much. Congratulations to APG, and we'll see you guys soon for some more Dota Masters action. Good night, everyone.